Good morning. You all are having so much fun, we're going to try that one more time. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, that was lovely. Thank you. My name is Deborah Gray Boyd. My pronouns are she, they, and I am happy to serve as your treasurer and an ex officio member of your board of trustees. I'm a white, middle-aged woman with shoulder-length brown hair wearing blue. As part of our services here at First UU, our speakers provide a brief visual description of ourselves to increase our inclusivity and welcome for people with visual impairments and for anyone listening online instead of watching. Welcome. If this is your first time here, we have a first-time visitor gift at the greeters table, and one of our beloved volunteers will be able to greet you in Beach Hall to share our Getting to Know UU information. You can use the QR code on the screen to access the digital version of our order of service, find our donation page, and sign in to let us know that you are here. Whether you are a first-timer or you remember when Beach Hall was the worship center, we invite you to come and chat with us after the service to learn more about the stories of who we are and what we believe here at First UU. Please find me or another board member in Beach Hall after the service. I'd like to ask everyone to please take a quick moment to put your phone in worship mode. We have a few announcements this morning. If you are interested in becoming a member of First Unitarian Universalist, I encourage you to sign up for our Pathways to Membership class being offered this coming Saturday, September the 14th from 9 to 1. You can find the link on our website. Registration is also now open for Living the Pledge to End Racism, a 2-day workshop. If you want to transition from reading and talking about how to end racism to taking intentional action, this is the class for you. It will be held on the first 2 Saturdays in October, the 5th and the 12th, from 10 to 5. And now we invite you to rise in body or spirit to sing our opening hymn, Morning Has Come, number 1000 in the teal hymnal and on the screen.
Has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope he shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace he shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love he shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
Good morning. It is so wonderful to have such a full sanctuary this morning. Thank you all so much for coming for our official kickoff to the church year. My name is Reverend Kelly McNeil. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve this congregation as your minister of congregational life. I am a white woman in her mid-30s with long, dark hair, red glasses, and I am wearing a blue dress with a cream-colored sweater over the top. Before we begin this morning, I'd like to call your attention to our order of worship. As you may have noticed, we have returned to our practice of putting our printed orders of service in reusable covers. Your insert contains several written announcements and a calendar for this week, as well as all the information you know and love. You are welcome to keep your insert, but please return the cover to the basket in the back of the sanctuary before you leave so that we can reuse it next Sunday. When you have a moment, please take a look at the announcements page to learn more about what's happening here at First UU. We begin this service by acknowledging that we gather on land stolen from the Wyandotte, Miami, Seneca, Erie, Shawnee, Delaware, and Cayuga people, many of whom were forcibly removed from Ohio. We support the Native American Indian Center of Central Ohio in their Land Back NACO campaign, and we know that we have more to do as a community to be in solidarity and true relationship with this land and those indigenous to it.
Good morning. I am so happy to be here at the beginning of my second year with you as your developmental minister. I'm the Reverend Dr. Teresa Cooley. And my pronouns are she, her. I'm a woman in her early 60s, medium height, wearing a bright orange dress. Yes, Brandon and I coordinated. Very happy to be with you. So let us enter into the spirit of worship with these opening words by Monica Jacobson Tennyson. What is it that calls you here, that calls you onward, that calls you inward, that leads you homeward? What is it that gives you the power to make that change, to ask that question, to take that journey? What is it that says you have done well, that asks you to learn more, that brings you to stillness, that holds you up in hard times? It is relationship, the beating heart of our faith. It begins when we share this hour, our truths, this air, our hearts. Come, let us worship together. And now let us all rise in body or in spirit. While the children go back to prepare to bring in the light, please turn to your neighbors and introduce yourself.
good. It is now time for our children to bring in the light. I offer this chalice lighting by Rebecca Savage. We light our flaming chalice each week with a simple spark to make holy our time together. With this flame, may our highest intentions be refreshed. With this flame, may we remember who we are and whose we are. With this flame, may our faith be renewed and reignited to guide our journey.
Let's try that again. Thank you, Roshi, for your help lighting our chalice this morning. Good morning. I'm Amber Scott, your Director of Religious Exploration, and my pronouns are she, they. I'm a white femme millennial with chaotic wavy brown hair, and I am wearing a bright green and blue batik top. Today is an all-ages service, which means that our whole community is invited to stay here in the sanctuary the whole time, to experience multi-generational worship and participate in our rituals of pouring the water together. With that in mind, I invite folks of different ages to give each other grace and be kind as we work to balance the needs of many generations. Families are invited to pick up a busy bag out in the gallery, check out quiet activities available in the We Worship area and Slitter Lounge, and infant and toddler care is available in room 101. Youth group, navigators, scouting, and teacher orientation are all happening today after the service. If you haven't yet, please register your child or teen for this year's activities as soon as possible, as many classes start next week. Please see Nikki at the yellow table out in the gallery after the service if you'd like to sign up today while you're here. Today's story is called The Rhythm of the Rain, written and illustrated by Graham Baker Smith. Isaac was playing in his favorite pool on the side of the mountain. He felt spots of rain on his cheek and looked up. The clouds above him were turning dark. He emptied his jar of water into the pool as the rain made little streams that ran out of it. When the rain stopped, Isaac raced the streams down the mountainside. He followed them to a river that ran past his home and then plunged down a waterfall. Somewhere in all that tumbling water, is the water from my little jar, Isaac thought. As the river went on, it got deeper and wider. Creatures came out of the woods to drink and to wash, and fish leapt high out of the swelling water. On and on the river flowed, winding through the country and winding through the city. And everywhere it went, people and creatures found a use for it. Eventually, it joined a great ocean. Where is the water from my jar now? Isaac wondered. The ocean is home to many creatures. A great whale opens its huge mouth to feed and swallows some of the water from Isaac's pool. Later, by the light of the moon, the whale rises and blows a great fountain into the starry night. The water falls like rain back into the sea. It flows with the currents that run like rivers, deep, deep down, where the sun's light never shines. Then it rises to ride a storm all night long. In the calm morning, the sun turns the waves golden. The ocean steams in the heat, and some of its water climbs as mist into the sky. The mist cools and gathers into a cloud that floats over a mountain in a country far, far away from Isaac's pool. The clouds release their gift of water, and they fill a pool where a little girl is playing. Down the mountain, the river runs. Elephants and giraffes, flamingos and zebras celebrate the return of the rain. On and on the water runs, back to the sea, where a giant squid, surprised by a shark, creates a cloud of ink, sucks in some seawater, and jets away to safety. Once more, the sun heats the ocean, and some of the seawater rises as steam into the sky, where it forms into clouds. And then the rain falls on the land, as it has done for millions of years. Then thirsty flowers draw the wandering water into themselves, waving like bright flags around the pool where Isaac plays. The end. As we return from summer, our lives again intertwine in community, like streams becoming rivers and finally joining the sea. Today, our many waters will be intermingled and some will be sprinkled on our grounds. And tomorrow, I invite you to wonder, where is the water from my little jar now? Let us remain seated with hands over our hearts as we sing and Rejoice in your gray hymnal to sing our beloved children back to their families and to their seats.
Sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice. Sing and rejoice, let all things living now sing and rejoice.
Thank you, Billy. Each Sunday, we share our plate offering with a local organization that brings our values into the world. And we are very excited this Sunday to introduce our special collection for the League of Women Voters. Yes. Elizabeth Grieser is the operations manager of the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan grassroots organization working to protect and expand voting rights. I'm sure none of you have heard of this organization before. Clearly very popular, so thank you so much for coming today.
Hello, I'm so pleased to be here. I really appreciate that warm welcome. My name is Elizabeth Grieser, and like I've already said, I'm with the League of Women Voters. I am a white woman in my early 40s, shoulder-length brown hair, and I'm wearing a red dress. My pronouns are she, her. So the League of Women Voters, we are a 104-year-old organization, and we focus on voting rights. We are always nonpartisan, which means we never support or oppose any particular candidates or political parties. We have been fortunate to count the congregation of this church as very strong supporters throughout the year, and we are very, very grateful for that. I don't need to remind you that we have a huge election coming up in less than 2 months now. We are able to register voters right up until the October 7th deadline. So since today is the 8th, I guess we have less than a month left for voter registration. We are also urging people to vote yes on issue 1 to end gerrymandering in Ohio. So I was asked to focus on one particular project that we are working on this fall, and I wanted to mention something that you all might not know that we are working on this fall. So we have a partnership with Airstream, if any of you all are familiar with them. They are an Ohio-based company, and they make those shiny silver campers. They have allowed us to borrow one of these Airstreams to do a road trip throughout Ohio to various college campuses, registering students, and helping them go through the process of voting, answering their questions. So, yes. We know that college students face additional barriers to voting, especially given our new voting laws, which went into effect last year in 2023. We also know that young voters ages 18 to 25 are the least likely age group to turn out to vote. So we are really trying to do a special project to urge them to get out there and vote and encourage their friends, their fellow students to vote as well. So we are borrowing one of these Airstream campers. We have branded it with our League of Women Voters branding. We have turned it into a voter registration mobile, and the Airstream is traveling the state. It started off in Delaware this past Tuesday. It's going to be up in northern Ohio this week, and it's going to be here in Columbus the last week of September, making stops at OSU, Otterbein, Columbus State, and Capital University. I know some of you receive our weekly Monday morning emails, and if you're interested in volunteering and coming out to some of these campuses, we do have some spaces left, so you can talk to Chris or myself after the services. And to wrap up, I really want to say a special thank you to Chris Johnson, who I've worked with for multiple years. Yes. Who has really worked hard to set up volunteer opportunities for this congregation, and I so appreciate that. Thank you to everyone in this congregation for your strong support of voter rights, ending gerrymandering, doing everything that we can to make sure that democracy continues in this country. So we have a lot of additional volunteer opportunities if you're looking for something to help get out the vote this coming November. And finally, just thank you so much for your support and for having me here today.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Great to have you with us. We hope that you will be generous in your giving. You can find the giving link at the QR code on the screen, also in our fabulous new cover for the order of service. It's on the left side of your page. And I will ask the ushers to now come forward to receive our offering.
Thank you, Nathan. This morning, our pastoral care listener is Barb Fiorini. Barb will be around after the service as a listening ear for anyone who would like someone to speak with. We have some celebrations and concerns in our community to share with you this morning. Happy belated birthday to our pianist, Nathan Ham, who celebrated his birthday yesterday. We send healing energy to Alice Rathburn, who had a heart catheterization on Friday. She is fine and recovering at home. And happy birthday to former member Jim Scott Cahall, who recently celebrated his 80th birthday. I invite you now to enter with me into a time of worship and prayer. Feeling yourself rooted to the ground beneath you, connecting you to those in this room, in this building, and out to those joining us online and our wider community. I invite you to take a deep, soothing breath together, breathing in possibility and breathing out whatever is rooted within you, holding you back. Our pastoral prayer this morning is entitled Oceans by Ellie Kay. Maybe our tears will become oceans, and maybe our oceans will carry the others. And while we carry the others, we will grow stronger. And when we grow stronger, we will begin to lead with love. And when we lead with love, we will build more bridges. And when we build the bridges, we will create an atmosphere of peace. And when we create an atmosphere of peace, we will feel more hopeful. And when we feel more hopeful, we will feel less alone. And when we feel less alone, we will heal one another. And when we heal one another, we will start wondering if perhaps we are more the same than we are different. And when we start wondering if we are more the same than we are different, maybe we will feel a small glow of light begin to grow. And once that small light begins to glow, well, that is where everything changes.
It is a tradition for us to begin the church year with a special water ceremony at our Ingathering. This tradition was actually started by two Unitarian Universalist women who were gathering with other UU women and who wanted to create a ritual that would bind them together, something that would speak to our connectedness with one another, to the totality of life, and to our place on this planet. And so they chose to ritualize water because water is more than simply a metaphor. It is elemental and primary calling forth feelings of awe and reverence. And so, given this sense of power that water can evoke, they created this ritual which merged waters from many places in the country or the world. And over time, congregations like this one evolved to this ritual to represent the many places that you may have visited during the summer and to share those places with one another. But now we recognize that not everyone has the luxury of traveling during the summer, and some of us find respite simply in our backyards, in the pond on the park, in the tap that waters our gardens that give us pleasure. So whatever place it is that you consider sacred, whatever experience you may have had recently that you consider special, we ask you now to come forward and mingle your waters together in these bowls. If you didn't bring water, that is totally fine. We have pitchers, as you can see. It is the metaphor that is sacred, that helps us remember that we are all connected to one another through the elemental aspect of water. Please come forward as you choose. I invite you to repeat after me the phrase, "This water is sacred," which is on your screen after each paragraph. This water is sacred. It is sacred by the many hands that have poured it with intention and love, the many stories that each drop contains, the many lives surrounding it in this unique moment, connected by commitment and faith. This water is sacred. May it continue to flow through this community with shining reflections of the unique gifts that flow through each of its members. This water is sacred. May it continue to nurture this community with sustaining hope that we journey together through ripples of growth and change. This water is sacred. May it continue to bless this community with loving reminders of our collective responsibility to one another and to the earth. In moments when the reservoirs of hearts and spirits are drained by sorrow or pain, may it nourish them with the knowledge that we are surrounded by a deep and abundant love. This water is sacred.
Earth. I would now like to invite any children or teens or those of you who recognize that we are each every age we have ever been and are still young at heart. If you would like to, please come forward and place a stone in our shared water. The color of the rocks change when they are underwater, reminding us of the hidden and truer aspects of ourselves that are only revealed when we are surrounded and held in community. And feel free to come up. There's no need to wait. Oh, yeah. Thank you. As we were placing our rocks in the directions earlier, someone said, "Oh, I should have brought my rocks." So my heart is with all of you who picked up a rock and said to yourself, "Now that is a good rock." I invite you to repeat after me, after each phrase that I shall read. This earth is sacred. This earth is sacred. Its clay holds up rivers and woods, the trees and the flowers, all living creatures, so that we may live out our purpose in this world. This earth is sacred. At times when we feel untethered and teetering on the edge, may we know we are held by its deep roots. This earth is sacred. May its solidity remind us that its resources are real and nurturing, if we but nurture them in return. This earth is sacred. It reminds us that all are connected by ties visible and invisible, and we are responsible for one another. This earth is sacred. It upholds this community and its people, surrounding us with care and support. This earth is sacred. May we honor this connection in all we do.
I know some people are ambivalent about Facebook. I have some of those same ambivalences. But sometimes Facebook delivers up the thing that you most need to see in that moment. So the other day I saw this posting. A group of professional people posed the question to a group of 4 to 8-year-olds. What does love mean? The answers they got were wonderful. I'll share a few of them. Love is when a girl puts on perfume and a boy puts on shaving cologne and they go out and smell each other. That was from Carl, age 5. Love is when you get to go out to eat and give somebody most of your French fries without making them give you any of theirs. Chrissy, age 6. And Terry, age 4, said, love is what makes you smile when you're tired. Bobby said, love is what's in the room with you at Christmas, if you stop opening presents and just listen. Marianne, at age 4, said, love is when your puppy licks your face even after you left him alone all day. Lauren, age 4, said, I know my older sister loves me because she gives me all of her old clothes, and she has to go out and buy new ones. And Karen said, when you love somebody, your eyelashes go up and down and little stars come out of you. Jessica said, you really shouldn't say I love you unless you mean it. But if you mean it, you should say it a lot. People forget. And my favorite, a 4-year-old child whose next-door neighbor was an elderly gentleman who had recently lost his wife. Upon seeing the man cry, the little boy went into the gentleman's yard, climbed into his lap, and just sat there. When his mother asked what he had said to the neighbor, the little boy said, nothing. I just helped him to cry. Sometimes as ministers, we think we have to come up with the perfect way to say anything, to define it perfectly in intellectual and amazing ways, when all you need to do is ask the children. Ask your kids when you leave today. At this year's General Assembly, the body passed a new Article 2 describing our core values that places love at the center. Reverend Kelly is going to be preaching about this in a few weeks, so I don't want to get into it too much, but it is interesting to note that this is the first time love made it into our bylaws. I think it speaks to a new kind of spiritual maturity for us. We've mostly been known, for good reason, as the religion of individualism, going back to such luminaries as Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said things like, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. And I don't know about you, I'm pretty attached to individualism. It's part of why I'm a Unitarian Universalist. I honor free choice and self-determination. I rebel against cultural strictures that ask me to sacrifice some important part of myself. I'm sure that's a part of why many of you are here as well. But there's a shadow side to our insistence on individual liberty and self-determination. The sociologist Robert Bellow wrote this, there are truths we do not see when we adopt the language of radical individualism. We find ourselves not independently of other people and institutions, but through them. We never get to the bottom of ourselves on our own. We discover who we are face to face and side by side with others in work, love, and learning. I know we know this, but individualism in and of itself leaves us, well, just as individuals, alone. I think if the pandemic has taught us anything, it is that we need one another. And it's not just about needing one another for concrete essentials in life, but even more for the not so concrete essentials of love and compassion. Frederick Buechner defined compassion this way: compassion is the sometimes fatal capacity for feeling what it's like to live inside someone else's skin. It is the knowledge that there can never really be any peace and joy for me until there is peace and joy for you too. To live like this is countercultural. It is revolutionary. It stands against everything that our materialistic and ego-driven culture tells us that we should do. But we are revolutionaries, aren't we? Can I get an amen? I read an interesting article the other day that talks about why people get drawn into conspiracy theories like QAnon. It actually has nothing to do with intelligence, as we might think. People aren't attracted to this kind of thinking because they're stupid. It's because they are lonely, because they feel powerless and disenfranchised. So the antidote to such thinking isn't argument, it's compassion. The Buddhist teacher Roshi Joan Halifax said this: "Perhaps we don't slip into the skin of others so much as we invite others to inhabit us, to slip into our skin, into our heart, thus making ourselves bigger beyond even our imagination. A world without empathy is a world that is dead to the other. And if we are dead to the other, we are dead to ourselves. The sharing of another's pain can take us past the narrow canyon of selfish disregard and even cruelty into the larger, more expansive landscape of wisdom and compassion." All of this is to say that we need one another. Families are good for this, certainly, but for some people, that's not enough. And sometimes the toxicity of their families mean they need to find connection elsewhere. So I'm sure you can see where this is going. This is why we need church, a place where we can grow and struggle together, where we can be both supported and challenged, where we can be seen as unique and special and precious individuals, but also learn the human truth that our own individual needs cannot, and perhaps should not, be met at all times, where sometimes we have to subsume our individual needs so that together we may achieve far more than we can alone. To live this way is not easy, nor is it for the faint of heart. My colleague Nancy MacDonald Ladd puts it this way: if God's name is love, then God compels us to resist the fall to sinful violence by pushing back with muscular resolve against the social structures that confine our capacity to care. A universalist God for a tragic era is not a gauzy, hymn-singing force of personal devotion that draws us endlessly toward itself, but a fierce and compelling power that grips us by the collar amid our rebellious descent and calls us to choose the will to mutuality over and over, even when that choice is so risky it could utterly remake us. Nancy's call to action actually makes me feel better right now. These next few months are going to be nerve-wracking, to say the least. It is tempting for me to think about going to bed and waking up on November 6th, when it will all be over, except, of course, it will not be over. So rather than hiding from all of this anxiety, I love the idea of being gripped by the collar and being called into mutuality over and over again. This really is the only choice if our spirits are to survive. As we heard in the beautiful poem by Uli Kay that Reverend Kelly read in her prayer, when we feel more hopeful, we will feel less alone. And when we feel less alone, we will heal one another. And when we heal one another, we will start wondering if perhaps we are more the same than we are different. And when we start wondering if we are more the same than we are different, maybe we will feel a small glow of light begin to grow. And once that small light begins to glow, that is where everything changes. So may it be. Amen. Let us please join in our final hymn, number 1064, in that teal paperback hymnal underneath your chairs, or on the screen, Blue Boat Home.
Our closing words come from Reverend Joel Miller, who grew up in this church. Let our lives be a prayer that waters dry souls, mends broken hearts, refuses to be terrorized, seeks this world's beauty, and carries us through its storms. And now let us extinguish our chalice together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love.
to watch.